Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over the market. Let's talk about what has happened, what we can expect moving forward. Tomorrow is actually a pretty big day, so we'll go over that very quickly. And yeah, as usual, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button if you find it useful, informative, whatever. And again, none of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, purely entertainment, blah, blah, blah. So jumping right into it, Tesla should be closing the day in about 3 minutes, around 173, which is up almost 4%. Compared to the market, Tesla arguably outperforming slightly, which is always a nice thing to see. But yeah, all that being said, let's just jump into it. And what does it all mean? So first and foremost, you can see on the 1 hour, I have this kind of line drawn roughly around this general area, right? You can even argue that it could be like this. Where Tesla is, arguably breaking out of this little small, I guess, downtrend, if you will, that it was in the past, couple of days or so. Which is a good sign and a good start to see something that I talked about, how I think Tesla still has some strength left. Well, that's not a bad thing to see whatsoever, right? So Tesla is definitely holding up. Even after yesterday's potential bearish candlestick pattern here, Tesla's actually holding up pretty well relative to that, which is really good to see. And, not too surprising. Like I said, I did think Tesla has a bit more steam left. And again, would not shock me whatsoever if Tesla does actually rally up to about 190 to 200 range. That would not shock me whatsoever. And it feels like Tesla, seemingly has the strength for that. Now, like I said, personally, I am not, buying like puts or anything on Tesla or the market itself until either SPY goes to about 410 and Tesla goes to about 200. Those are the levels I would personally look to actually start entering puts, because I do think that's where the market and Tesla itself will of course reject. So all that being said though, so you can see as the RSI fell on this move down, we have rallied up, and we're actually decently close to where this candle was over here, 177 to 173. That's not too far off, like percentage wise. Even this is only like 2.5%, which is not a lot, but you can see that RSI is definitely meaningfully lower in my opinion so far, even though of course we're not at that level. But even if we were to get to this level, I'm pretty confident this RSI would not go higher than this. Now, even with that being said and done, it's still a little bit higher than I expected, because this bounce is actually happening a little bit higher than I also expected. I did think we'd drop a little bit more than this before the potential bounce, which is still very possible, which we'll talk about. But you can see we are bouncing off the 0.236, which is not that common. Usually you would go to at least the 0.382, which would essentially put us around the 150 mark. So this is interesting that we're bouncing here, which shows that Tesla still actually has some pretty, respectable strength remaining so far, as long as we don't break this level, which is going to be, good to see for the bulls, of course, and especially for that move up to that 190 to 200 level. Now, importantly, tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow at 2 p.m., we of course have the, rate hike announcement, if you will, coming out. 25 basis points is the expected. If we get anything more than that, the market will pretty much crash. If we get 25, the market most likely will get that rally going. Tesla will go up to my, projected target, which again is 190, 200, somewhere in that range. SPY, I really do believe will probably go up to about 410 or so. Roughly 410 or so, which is where I'm personally looking to enter some puts. We'll see, of course, if that actually happens, right? And then, of course, JPOW speaking tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those are the things that I would personally be watching out tomorrow. And the market is kind of just going sideways, honestly, just kind of waiting for that, it feels like, right? The market is just sort of waiting for that announcement, waiting to see what happens there. You can also argue the fact that the market is potentially setting up, or at least Tesla is setting up, potentially a little bit of like a bull flag right here. So you can definitely make an argument that something like this will set up, right? So we could potentially, rally up a little bit more maybe tomorrow up until the meeting comes out. That wouldn't surprise me. And then most likely get rejected, meeting comes out, we instantly plummet out of fear, and then the meeting and JPOW finishes speaking, and then we pretty much rally out of this little bull flag, and then most likely head our way up to that, again, projected range of 190 to 200, which again is personally, I believe, is very, very likely and actually quite possible. But I'm curious to see how the RSI behaves relative to that, and how much higher the RSI goes if we actually move to that general area. However, with that being said, I do personally believe that, again, 200 is most likely I don't think we'll go higher than that, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? I don't believe that we will go higher. I'm actually going to make this line a little bit of different color. I want to make this one, let's do purple. No, okay, that's not a very good color. Let's do yellow. Let's make it a little bit bigger too. This is my overall like main target right here, this yellow line right up here. That's where I personally believe that we will most likely get rejected. So assuming we get there, right? Let's just say for, for theoretical purposes, we get up to 200, right? Let me try this one more time. Let's say we get up to 200. Well, if we get up to 200, just shy of 200, right? Where can we retrace after that? Because again, like I said, even if we do get to 200, I personally believe this will just essentially create this potential cup and handle pattern like this, and then we'll create the cup, or the handle rather. This will be the cup, this will be the handle, and then we rally up, right? I've said that several times. That is my current bullish alternative. That's my bullish perspective, right? That is what I personally think has a very decent chance of happening. My bearish perspective, if you're curious, would essentially be we rally up to this still like the same rough area more or less, and then we actually either crash down to make a double bottom like this, and then we go all the way back up, which is like my semi-bearish but semi-bullish, and my ultimate bearish would just be essentially obviously new lows, right? I do think the new lows part is the likelihood of new lows happening based on how extended this rally has been and how much power there's been behind this rally so far. I definitely think the chances of making lower lows on Tesla is pretty, like, it's not impossible, and it's definitely still there's definitely still a chance in my opinion, though the fact that we went up this high, like I said before, definitely reduces those chances by a decent amount. So I wouldn't put as much weight into it as of right now, though I still would hold it in the back of my mind to always consider it as a potential possibility, though most likely the least likely possibility of the three I just mentioned, in my, of course, opinion and just in my head, right? However, with that being said, if we do go up to 200, and let's say that's where we get rejected, which is where I would expect us to get rejected if we somehow make it up there, I personally believe that Tesla will most likely retrace down to around worst case scenario would be this gap fill all the way down here at 122. That would be like worst case scenario. Realistic, I guess, more or less. Let me be more specific. Realistic worst case scenario will be 122. But if we still have some, like, a lot of strength potentially behind Tesla, and especially if we want to form that cup and handle like I mentioned, it wouldn't shock me if we come down to like somewhere around this kind of 150-ish to 140-ish area to make the actual handle, and then from there we rally up. And essentially what this would also be is essentially a massive bull flag, right? So that's essentially what I would personally foresee coming up, after tomorrow's Fed meeting, the FOMC and everything like that, and essentially more or less happening throughout February, right? That would be my expected February move. Maybe get up here, consolidate tiny bit, then get the retreats down to the south, maybe like second half of February or like very end of February, and then maybe we rally from there. Now I see a lot of people actually projecting a pretty damn bearish March until like almost June, honestly, right? Pretty bearish. So if that were to happen, and if the market were to essentially break down from this little, rising wedge, if you will, that we are currently in on, like SPY in this case, right? You can see here, and then we do rally, rally, I guess, to the downside, if you will, we crash. People projecting that I've seen, like, pretty, people that I definitely don't just ignore their perspectives because I respect their opinion, some people are saying that we can go down to all the way to like 330 on SPY right now. If we go down to, let's say, 330 on SPY, even from this right here, will be another 17, we'll just say 20% move on SPY, which means Tesla will go down about 40% at least from that, assuming Tesla simply just follows the market, right, in terms of the whole beta and everything like that, which, assuming we go from, let's say from here, for instance, 40% move down would essentially be a double bottom, actually, which is exactly where that is, which is quite interesting. That would be a double bottom for Tesla, right? So that's something to consider, which is quite interesting. So if the market does go down to 330, which is, again, some people project that whose opinion I respect, I guess, that would essentially put Tesla back to the levels of 101, 102, something like that, which essentially would create a double bottom, which is my, like, kind of neutral take, where it's not really bearish, not really bullish. It's kind of like a neutral take where I think bulls and bears will be happy and unhappy at the same time. But that's kind of what I'm seeing as of right now. Tomorrow's gonna be a huge day, so I'm definitely kind of being patient for tomorrow. But again, if I had to take a guess here, if I had to project, I do believe that this little situation that we find ourselves in right here on the 1 hour will most likely play out as a bull flag to the upside, and we most likely will go up to somewhere around this level all the way up here before the ultimate rejection, and before we either rally back down to about 150 to make the handle of the cup, or if the case becomes a bit more bearish than that, we most likely come down to make at the very least a double bottom somewhere in the very low 100s. That is my current take, and that is currently what I am seeing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.